Well, that also almost makes sense, because if you look at your Pokedex, Gyarados is labeled as a water flying type. It's 4 times effective lightning attacks. Lightning attacks against Gyarados are 4 times as effective instead of 2 times, because he is a water and flying.
And I also had a Graveler with Flamethrower.
Now that's a little weird.
That is a little weird. But
so now we've delivered Oak's parcel, which it's a custom Pokeball, but I don't think I've ever figured out what Pokeball it's supposed to be.
Apparently that is not information we are privy to.
No, of course not. Instead he's going to give us our Pokedexes.
Although, if you will remember, in both Gold, Silver, Crystal, and Gold, Silver, Crystal was when they brought in the custom-made Pokeballs.
That's right.
When you were able to collect Apricorns, or whatever they called them, and then have them made into different balls. And in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, they had different towns would have different
kinds of Pokeballs. Yeah,
different kinds of Pokeballs. One of my favorites was the Timer Ball. I used that to death on Rayquaza. Of course, the Timer Ball being the longer the battle goes, the more effective it becomes.
Exactly.
If you didn't have a Master Ball, and you knew you were going to drag this battle out for a long time, that's the one I would suggest using.
Indeed. If you knew you could survive, that was your best bet. Okay, so she's actually going to give us our town map. Daisy is going to give us our town map. I'm not going to refer to it very often, only because I actually do have the layout of the towns in Pokemon memorized from years and years of just enjoying this game. I didn't move the mouse.
And we also have blackouts from years and years of drinking.
Not really, but close. Sorry about the slowdown. Let's see. We're playing on a laptop right now. I'm going to get really close here and get really loud, then plug it in and see if having it on the power will actually at least help with the slowdown. Unfortunately, the one of the big upsides to the Gold, Silver, Crystal games actually was that when you got back to the lab when you came back the first time, like I just did, to deliver the parcel to Professor Elm, his assistant gave you 5 Pokeballs. In this game, I've got to walk back through all these wild Pokemon to the first city again to buy Pokeballs to come back and catch them. And I mean, as you can see already, my Bulbasaur is level 7, and I'm fighting level 2 and level 3 creatures. Catching these guys is going to be a pain. Let me put it that way. Raising them is not going to be as hard, I will admit. But right now I just can't catch anything, so I just have to keep knocking them out and giving my Bulbasaur more and more experience, which is unfortunate. Not that I don't want to level my Bulbasaur up, but I kind of like to keep my team at equal level, and that's getting really annoying.
A little bit of a tidbit for any of you who are playing the original games. If you were able to, I believe it was actually I believe it might have been in Gold, actually. If you were able to, yeah, it was in Gold, because if you were able to catch a Chansey, occasionally it would be holding something called a Lucky Egg, which increases the amount of experience your Pokemon would actually have. Now, if any of you knew the trick of duplication in the Gold and Silver series of games, so I actually ended up having all of my Pokemon holding Lucky Eggs at one time or another, which very greatly aided me leveling them up.
Indeed, that's always good. I'm going to buy 5 Pokeballs, because I can only carry 6 Pokemon on me, and I've already got one. So, we'll fill our
margin of error.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true, but this enables me to fill my team, and then I can go buy more Pokeballs to catch more Pokemon. I'm actually going to go over here first, which actually seems a little odd for those who've actually played the game. This is the way to the end of the game, the Elite Four. But I'm actually going to walk around over here and try and catch a certain Pokemon that tends to show up around here. And there it is, Mankey! A fighting-type Pokemon this early in the game is actually really handy.
For handling Brock, correct?
Not just for handling Brock, because, I mean, my Bulbasaur can handle Brock pretty well. But, fighting types aren't as affected, excuse me, by electric types. So by the time I get to the 3rd gym and have my Mankey pretty leveled up, he will be actually really, really effective. Now, I can't exactly remember the entire move chart, but if I remember enough, Fighting-type moves are actually fairly effective against electric types.
Actually, I'm not so sure. I know they have it's effective against rock, and
oops, I don't want Pokemon, I want items.
And it is effective against dark Pokemon as well. But
Pokeball.
And here is an interesting tidbit there. If any of you remember in Ruby Sapphire, there was a Pokemon called Sableye, which, as you remember, was a Ghost Dark type, which, if you look at the chart, gives it no weaknesses. Here's the trick to unlocking this. If you have, say you have a Machamp with Foresight, if you use Foresight on Sableye, you then can use Fighting-type moves, because it will end up canceling out the Ghost advantage of not being able to be hit. Once it does that, it's actually super effective because of the Dark.
Nice. Alright, so we caught our first extra Pokemon, Mankey. He's going to go right to the front of our party, actually. Let's see, Pokemon. Mankey, switch. And I have to apologize, I just noticed something. Apparently this game does give you 5 Pokeballs, it just doesn't tell you it does. So as I open my bag here to get Pokeball out to catch that Mankey, I had 10 from the 5 that I bought, and apparently 5 that it gave me. So we're going to troll in this grass real quick, see if I can pick up a Pidgey. Of course not. I'm actually not going to catch a Rattata. I just don't really care to. I'm not going for a complete playthrough on this. I'm not going to catch all 150. I'm not going to go on, really. I'm just going to...
I tend not to go for the normal-type Pokemon anyway, unless there's something very extraordinary about them.
Now, Raticate, I should say, Raticate's Hyper Fang is one of the most powerful normal moves in the game.
This is true.
If we don't get a Pidgey in the next couple walk-arounds, I'm just going to keep going through the story and we'll catch a flying Pokemon later. We don't need a flyer just yet anyway. He's actually more of a liability against Brock than he is anything else.
Although, if you are at the point where you can buy revives, which I don't believe you can this early in the game,
no.
But later on strategies, sometimes even though it's a disadvantage to have a certain type in play, it does give you one extra turn in which you can revive another Pokemon that you can actually use.
That's right.
So extra bodies can be helpful.
Extra bodies can be helpful, but if you play Pokemon right and you design your team correctly, no Pokemon is ever an extra body. It always has at least one move it can use in a good situation.
This is true. But sometimes if you're early enough in the game, you don't have that moveset.
Yep, this early in the game, he's going to try and show us how to catch Pokemon, I guess. Apparently I don't know, even though I just caught my Mankey. He thinks I don't know how to catch Pokemon. Hey, it's a Weedle!
Also, another thing you can't find necessarily is can be hard to catch Abra, so having a Butterfree in your party can be a good sort of a pseudo-psychic, if you will.
Yep.
For this stage in the game.
That's right.
Being fully evolved at level 10 really does have its advantages.
To a point, I would say, yeah.
To a point. At this point in the game, it's nice to have something that is fully evolved because you have your advantages of it having gone through 2 evolutions, making it 2 evolutions stronger in battle. Granted, it still has its normal disadvantages.
Oh, that's right. I forgot there's an item over there. I'm gonna run back and get a hidden item real quick. While we continue this. Yeah, to a point, that's true. Butterfree is great for having a psychic type early on, but I would also caution you though, because even though it's fully evolved at level 10, oh goodness, even though it's fully evolved at level 10, it's just Butterfree's not the strongest Pokemon, so you have to be careful what situations you actually use him in.
This is true. It's not necessarily one you want to keep in your team long term, but it might be nice to help out at this stage in the game, especially if you need a good, strong backup because the ones you're planning on keeping, just you're in a tight situation.
Ah, there's a Pidgey.